Thank you, Jan. You promised me one of these days to put a piano on stage so I can really prove I'm a jazz fan and a jazz player. Next time. Yeah, so thank you for all being here. I'd like to give you an update on Icos Capital and an introduction for those who don't know us. We've launched earlier this year our third fund focused on sustainability and digitization of the industry. So we call ourselves an industry impact fund. And we've started with 50 million of commitments, and we're trying to build up the fund the next 2 years, actually, as you can see in this slide, to a final close. So what we typically do is investments in Series A, B, and C, which can be companies even pre-revenue, companies with initial revenue, and companies with, say, 1 to 4 million of revenue. And we'll invest in the different stages, so we can start in Series A and then follow in B and C, but we can also start in B and start in C. We have a strong collaboration model with our corporate investors because we believe corporations can really be helpful in scaling up new ideas in a very smart and fast way. Two of the corporations, part of the first closing, were AkzoNobel, which I think most of you know, a chemical company. And the other one is Bühler, which probably most of you don't know. It's a food equipment manufacturer. And both of them are really interested in new technologies that can make their business greener and can make a startup's business much more successful in their scaling up. So once again, it's all about getting this collaboration going. So we really believe that the corporations do have the access to the market and can help startups scale up fast and become successful. So we call it a win-win-win. Win for the startup, a win for the corporate, and a win for the fund that invests in that. Some examples of previous portfolio companies. This is Rainmaker. It used to be Dutch Rainmaker, but actually it is now a Canadian company. We sold it to the Canadians. And the company is producing water with renewable energy. It has two implementations. One is using wind energy to condense actually water out of the air, which is an interesting application, not so much in the Netherlands, but in other parts of the world where water is a big problem. And the other application is that it evaporates polluted water, so you can make clean water out of dirty water. Now, the company is growing very fast, and it actually had to move to North America, we came to the conclusion, because it's raising a lot of money, and that money is simply not available in the European markets. So things are going very well for this company, and we hope to do a big announcement in the next couple of months. But we'll let you know, of course, through the Ecosummit news. Second company will take a little bit more time, but it's a direct conversion method where you convert CO2 into chemical products. So there's cyanobacteria, and they're called blue algae, but actually they're green and they're not algae, they're bacteria. They eat the CO2, and with the water they combine into all kinds of chemical molecules that you want to produce. One example is lactic acid. Lactic acid is a material that's used in bioplastics. And one of our investors is Corbion, is a big bioplastics company in the Netherlands here. They are very interested in this technology, and actually together with this corporate, we made the first scale-up steps of this technology. And we think it's very comparable to Avantium that you may have heard of. Avantium recently went to the stock market to attract about 150 million to build a full-scale plant. And we envision that this company is doing the same thing. Actually, we're doing an investment round. It's almost completed, 12 million, to get to the last step before the IPO. Another company is Metal Membranes. It has very special production technology to make membranes. Actually, when we made the investment, we were really focused on the water industry and using these type of membranes to produce water. But when the company, and that's how it's often going with startup companies, when the company started exploring the different application, it found two very interesting killer applications, we call them now, of course. One is in the e-cigarette. So e-cigarettes have a coil that is being used to evaporate the liquid. So you get the smoke that you're actually smoking, and that coil should be very carefully produced. It cannot have any metals in it anymore, because otherwise you're smoking metals, and that's a very unhealthy thing to do. And Metal Memories is actually the only company in the world that can make the coils, which are semiconducting and qualify with the requirements that are important for these type of e-cigarettes. And the other interesting application is the back of your mobile phone. There's a lot of metal in your phone, but actually to have all your antennas working properly, that need to be semiconductors. And this company is one of the very few in the world that can make that type of backing for mobile phones. So we envision that in a couple of years from now, you'll all have the backings that are produced by this company, Metal Memories. And finally, another company that's actually doing very well, which is another sector, the food ingredient sector. It's a company that has been sourcing all kind of food ingredients with a health effect for population. And it has been sourcing these from university research. So the point is that professors like to show that there is an effect, but once there's one effect, they write a paper and they stop working on this phenomenon. And this company then picks it up and takes all the next step to produce the food ingredient, to get it to the right customers, to market it worldwide, to get the right registrations. And the company is doing very well, profitable, and we're in multiple exit discussions. So we also think we have something interesting to announce in the next couple of months as well. That's it. Just a quick overview on what we're doing, some of the companies we have invested in. And if you have an interesting proposition that you believe could fit our investment strategy and our model, then please contact us. Thank you.